Derrick Relentless and Loxodon Smiter main.
Yes, and obviously I don't know either player, but I'm really rooting for Phillip Fortner because it'd be a tragedy if we didn't have that hat for at least several more rounds. We need that hat in the feature match for at least the top 8 and the top 4. But this matchup, you know, it kind of comes down to mana denial. Can you keep your opponent off of the mana early on so that you can kind of gain an advantage? And I kind of like, you know, the fact that Roper kind of has the Fiend Hunters and the Acidic Slimes in his main deck. That's good, but Fortner really has, I think, a little bit of an advantage just because, like you said, he has that 5th Acidic Slime, so to speak. And he does have cards like Derrick Relentless in the main deck, which kind of, or Derrick Relentless, which can help kind of control those mana creatures early on. Turn
1, we see Avacyn's Pilgrim from Derrick Roper.
Phillip Fortner,
answers it
with a Arbor Elf, or is that just an Avacyn Pilgrim? It looks like it's the alternate art Avacyn Pilgrim.
And it's Squirrels versus the Emperor. Like,
one is very playful, the other not so much.
Yeah, I think those are sleeves from Fantasy Flight. Pretty cool sleeves. There's a whole series of Star Wars sleeves that have been put out for a while now. And Derrick Roper, Mulch. 1 land.
Well.
Sever and 2 Angels of Serenity.
So hits a mana and some good Unburial Rites targets. I believe he does have an Unburial Rites in his hand, so 2 Unburial Rites. So he hits a land and looks like he plays Overgrown Tomb untapped and another Pilgrim. Wow, so
very dangerous.
Threatening a turn 3 Unburial Rites on an Angel Serenity. Pretty devastating in the mirror.
Or what if he even just went Acidic Slime? I didn't know if he has one in his hand, but like that would be...
Yeah, even an Acidic Slime is good here, but if he's able to go Angel Serenity, get rid of your Pilgrim, your Smiter, and maybe put my other Angel under it. Pretty good sequence for him. But he does have the Acidic Slime.
I mean, right now, Phillip Fortner in a world of hurt.
Yeah, with only 2 mana here, he's under a lot of pressure. Again, mana denial is so important in this mirror match, and Derrick has that Unburial Rites in his hand. We know it. Phillip might not be aware of it, but either way, that Unburial Rites is going to be targeting the Angel Serenity next turn. Unless he draws another Acidic Slime.
Phillip doesn't even have... I don't even like this attack here. I mean, Derrick would be happy, I think, to get the slime in the graveyard.
I would gladly snap block right here. Not even a question. I would snap block and get that Acidic Slime back, but he decides to take 4 instead. Surprising there, because you basically deal with the Loxodon Smiter, plus you get that Acidic Slime back next turn. I mean, but decides to take it here. Now let's see what he does. Is he going to pull the trigger on the Unburial Rites? Can't imagine you wouldn't want to here. Mana denial.
Unburial Rites, and we see Angel come into play, and it takes the other Angel out of the graveyard, and Phillip's 2 creatures, and snaps them all.
So Acidic Slime can now attack for 2, I suppose. And, Phillip still has mana in his hand. If the game's not over, he can definitely get something going. If he draws maybe a Fiend Hunter, can help slow things down a little bit. But again, Derrick's just going to get one of those Angel Serenities back, and he's already at 6 mana, I believe. So 1 more mana, he has access to Angel in his hand. He could also flash back the Sever the Bloodline in his graveyard. So tough spot for Phillip right here.
Yeah. And now we were talking about how Phillip Fortner had both the Loxodon Smiter and the Garruk. In order to fit those cards, he cuts the Fiend Hunters and the Sin Collectors.
Yeah,
Ouch.
that's a tough call. I love Fiend Hunter in this format. Particularly, can you imagine if he was able to go Fiend Hunter your Avacyn Pilgrim instead of Smiter? You can slow him down a little bit. Obviously, Derrick had a pretty good draw this game regardless, but still, Fiend Hunter's so powerful. And same thing with Soul Collector. Being able to nab one of those Unburial Rites could be huge. But
now we're going to go to the sideboard. Phillip Fortner, he's got Sever the Bloodline, which is pretty effective here. He's got Deathrite Shaman, a great card in this mirror match. And after that, he's got other options for cards he could bring in, but those become closer to judgment calls, whether or not you like a card like Obsidat in the mirror, whether or not you like a card like Abrupt Decay. Personally, I know I like the Sever, I know I like the Deathrite Shaman, and the rest of his sideboard, I'm not necessarily sold that it needs to come in at all.
Yeah, and Derrick's list is pretty straightforward, similar to the Van Meter BBD list that we've been seeing. He's got another copy of Sever the Bloodline, which probably comes in. A Sin Collector, which I don't think you want really in this matchup. 4 copies of Voice of Resurgence, same thing. 2 Obsidat, probably not coming in. The cards that are coming in, 2 copies of Garruk Relentless, 2 copies of Deathrite Shaman, and the 4th Acidic Slime. He also has 2 copies of Abrupt Decay, but I don't really think that's a card you really need in this matchup. It deals with Fiend Hunter, but again, so does Garruk Relentless. I think you really just want to be a little more proactive. Cards like Deathrite Shaman are great, Garruk, and Acidic Slime. Probably don't need the Sin Collector anymore. And beyond that, Thragtusk is another card that's not amazing in this matchup. So maybe I could see kind of shaving those numbers a little bit to try to fit in those Garruks and Deathrite Shamans.
And if you're just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here with Osip Levidovic, and this is the SCG Live presenting Nashville here, the StarCDGames.com Open Series. On the left, Derrick Roper. On the right, Phillip Fortner. Both with Junk Reanimator. Derrick up 1-0.
And Phillip is now going to be on the play, so he could certainly get one of those starts that, Derrick, because more or less their decks are the same. Obviously, the numbers are a little off here and there, but after board, their decks are kind of similar. They all have they have the cards that matter in this matchup. So after board, they're a little more level playing field. And Phillip's on the play, which is obviously very important in this matchup sometimes. So I think Phillip has a reasonable chance of evening up this match and going to Game 3. He doesn't have anything too devastating. Obviously, the Sylvan Primordial can be very good, but he's going to have to get to 7 mana before it can actually matter, and it all comes down to whether or not he gets a mana-hungry draw or not.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons that Derrick Roper was able to take that game so easily, he was on the play, and he dropped down more mana acceleration than Phillip, and then followed up with a Acidic Slime on Phillip as well. And Phillip just basically overwhelmed with the extra mana that Derrick had and Derrick's ability to do something with it.
Yeah, if you're on the play and you go turn 1 Pilgrim, mulch Pilgrim on turn 2, that's just you're so far ahead. Phillip was lucky enough to at least have a Pilgrim of his own, but you really need a Fiend Hunter there in order to kind of slow down your opponent somewhat. Keep him off 5 mana before you can actually at least get something in play. Once they're able to start casting their Acidic Slimes, or God forbid, casting Umbrella Rights on an Angel Surrender or something like that, it's pretty devastating for you. Especially in the Reanimator Mirror, there's really just not much for you to do to come back from that.
What do you think about? I have never played the Reanimator Mirror. Mm-hmm. What do you think about Obsidat as a way to dodge the Deathrite Shaman, nuking a graveyard in the mirror?
The problem with Obsidat, it's the same thing with Thragtusk in that it doesn't really just do that much in the matchup. You can't realistically attack very well with it because there are Acidic Slimes. So it can basically dome your opponent for 2 and be like basically a 4-point life swing. But is that really good enough when your opponents are casting cards like Angel Serenity and attacking your mana? I'm not sure. I think it might be a little weak in this matchup. That card's something more against mid-range you control decks with a lot of removal decks like Jund, and even against control decks like Esper or Blue-White Flash. So
essentially what both of these decks are going to be doing then is going head-to-head, basically the same plan. I'm going to try to reanimate, and I'm going to try to use Deathrite Shaman and Sever the Bloodline to make your reanimation either not happen or not very good.
Or just attack your mana, because the thing is,
as we saw this last game, the mana overwhelming.
As long as you can attack their mana, you don't. That's why these decks don't board into cards like Purify the Grave or Cremate or anything like that. They have 2 copies of Deathrite Shaman, but really the mana denial is the key to this game.
I think I see a Smiter in Phillip's hand.
Yeah, it looks like he has Smiter. It looks like he also boarded in the Obsidat, which you were talking about. So it looks like we have a turn 2 mulch from Phillip, reveals a Sunpetal Grove, along with the Sylvan Primordial. So he has an interesting Unburial Rights target, if he does in fact have one. Although again, Derrick is a little bit ahead of mana. He basically, with the turn 1 Avacyn Pilgrim, allowed him to basically steal the initiative back.
Yeah, we see a mulch here on turn 2. 2 lands, is that a Grizzly Salvage?
Grizzly Savage and a Sever the Bloodline. So doesn't have a reanimation target, but he does have a Sever the Bloodline, which could matter later on in the game, and he gets 2 lands. So again, in a mana-hungry matchup, it's a pretty good place to be. So it looks like, wow, it looks like we have the same start from last game where he has 2 mana accelerants on turn 2.
Ouch. Now, if you're Phillip Fortner, right now, you are in a world of hurt unless you can do something substantive right now, I think.
Yeah, like a Fiend Hunter's great, but again, Fiend Hunter isn't a card that he has in his deck, I don't believe. So the fact that Derrick can actually either cast an Acidic Slime here, or, you know, anything, even a Thragtusk would be pretty decent right now, but it looks like that's what he drew. And it looks like he did keep in, I don't know if he kept in all 4 Thragtusk, but Thragtusk comes down. So Phillip, maybe a sigh of relief a little bit, at least you don't have to contend with the Acidic Slime. Trying to get to 5 mana just so he can cast the Unburial Rights on a Sylvan Primordial and try to get back in this game. He does have a Restoration Angel, so he's trying to get something going. There's a Deathrite Shaman and a Pilgrim. So probably takes Deathrite Shaman here. He has 2 copies of Pilgrim. Unburial Rights, that's a huge flip because even if he does, even if Derrick does play an Acidic Slime to keep him off 5 mana, he still will be able to flash back the Unburial Rights next turn, targeting Sylvan Primordial, and try to get something going.
There's the Shaman. 4 lands and a Deathrite Shaman in Phillip Fortner's play. Other side of the table, 3 lands, 2 1/1 mana acceleration, and a Thragtusk.
So looks like Derrick also has a Restoration Angel, so this game could come down to the good old-fashioned Thragtusk Resto play, trying to get enough creatures in play to kind of overwhelm Phillip. Although, you know, we know Sylvan Primordial is going to come down pretty soon, and that is a big body.
He says pass.
So it looks like Restoration Angel will come down on sometime in Phillip's turn. So Phillip will be free to cast Unburial Rights if he chooses to.
Sylvan Primordial, 6/8 reach. Ouch, that is going to be just a total monster here.
Yeah, so he decides to flash back the Unburial Rights, targets the Sylvan Primordial. That should come into play. He can deal with the land, plus, again, like you said, the reach effect. He can block any of the creatures in Derrick's deck and kill them. And he's also going to be able to search for a forest now, too, with Sylvan Primordial's other ability.
And he's like, yeah, I'm going to do this thing. There you can see the Sylvan Primordial. I think I've had him twice in the last week in drafts, and that guy's no joke.
No. And the other thing that Phillip can do now, he could also activate the Deathrite Shaman to get rid of that Sever the Bloodline in Derrick's graveyard.
Yeah.
So dome him for 2 and make sure that that removal spell doesn't deal with the Primordial later on.
Yeah, let's see if he remembers that it's there. We see end of the turn, and wow, what's this? I see some untapping happening.
But I don't think Derrick has enough mana to flash it back yet. So
yeah, he's got 5.
Yeah, because
so if he gets a land, it's only 6. So he's still 1 shy. If he lays a land, he's 1 shy.
Primordial slowed Derrick down a little bit, so Phillip can still keep that Primordial in play. He doesn't have to worry about the Sever the Bloodline just yet. What are we going to get from another Grizzly Savage from Derrick here? Trying to dig for an answer.
Unburial Rights.
Wow. So
that's
a solid answer to Sylvan Primordial there. Although the Deathrite Shaman, good thing he didn't activate it.
Yep. Puts the Angel of Serenity in his hand.
So he's gonna try to get to 7 mana to cast that Angel of Serenity and deal with that Primordial. However, we know Phillip does have a Restoration Angel, so he can blink that Primordial and try to keep Derrick off of 7 mana. And Derrick doesn't have a good attack here because of the 6/8.
He gets rid of the Sever first.
I like that play. There's really no good Unburial targets in Derrick's graveyard just yet, so no need to get rid of the Unburial Rights.
And he can get rid of the target of the Unburial Rights as well.
Oh wow, Sever the Bloodline here. So
yeah, it's nice.
probably no need to cast that just yet. I think you still want to go after the mana. Maybe upkeep Restoration Angel. Maybe even just do it now. Or, yeah, I think you want to just Restoration Angel, targeting your Sylvan Primordial. Perhaps just attack.
Here it comes. Let's see if I can gobble something up.
Sylvan Primordial doing work. Doing work here.
That's right. Now, the other thing that's really amazing is that not only is he negating, not only is he knocking the development that Derrick Roper has been trying to make happen, but finding his own mana is actually really huge.
Yeah, he's able to ramp each turn this happens. So he's going to be able to start casting any Angel Serenities he draws. He's pretty much at that point now. He can cast Sever, he can flashback Sever.
Yep. And let's pretend that Derrick gets Acidic Slime. He actually doesn't really care at this point now.
Yeah, Acidic Slime's not a factor anymore. There's just way too much mana on Phillip's side of the board. So Phillip in pretty good shape right here. Obviously, a Sever the Bloodline would be huge draw for Derrick right here. I believe he has one left in his deck if he chose to board in one in. So Sever the Bloodline is pretty huge right here. You might be saying, well, why didn't Phillip maybe hold off that Restoration Angel to protect against Sever the Bloodline? Well, the fact is you can't really do that because you got to keep Derrick off 7 mana because you know that he knows about that Angel Serenity.
And there's the fourth land, the 6th mana from Derrick, and we see Phillip Fortner gobble up that Unburial Rites. 2 more life lost by Derrick Roper.
So it looks like, another Unburial Rites. It looks like we have an Angel Serenity on Phillip's side of the board as well, in his hand. So is Angel Serenity going to come down and deal with those mana guys? Again, important to keep Derrick off of 7. You know that Angel Serenity is in his hand. Looks like Phillip is deciding if he wants to attack first, maybe cast Angel Serenity first.
In comes the Angel and the Sylvan Primordial. At least preliminarily, he's thinking about it.
Yeah, an odd attack with the Resto, because obviously Derrick's Restoration Angel will just jump in front of it. I think he's thinking about, oh wait, maybe I should cast Restoration Angel Serenity first. Get rid of your 2 mana guys and your Restoration Angel, and then attack. Let's see if Phillip decides to go in that direction. I think it's reasonable to make that play just because Derrick's at 16. With an Obsidian in your hand and an active Deathrite Shaman, you could burn him out in the next few turns.
Takes 3, and...
wow, Derrick decides not to block with the Restoration. Interesting.
We see the Angel of Serenity then following up, likely eating 2 elves or elf variants and then a friend.
So what is Angel Serenity targeting here? Avacyn Pilgrim, Arbor Elf, and looks like perhaps a Restoration Angel? Perhaps. It doesn't look like there's anything good in Phillip's graveyard that he maybe wants back later on. Phillip debating. I think Restoration Angel's fine here.
Yep,
yeah.
And he does it. I mean, the reason not to do it is if the Angel of Serenity goes away, then the Resto can flicker the Thragtusk, but that seems like a pretty minor thing to get that creature off the table.
Yeah, I think it's fine, because next turn, you'd be attacking for 8 in the air. You have an active Deathrite Shaman, so you'd be dropping Derrick to 11 this turn, and then between Abza and your Deathrite Shaman activation, you'd kill him next turn, so I think you just want to clear the way.
Derrick is land pass. Resto in hand, perhaps?
So we get a draw from Phillip. See if he attacks in the air as well with the Sylvan Primordial. Restoration Angel will buy Derrick a turn. He'll gain 5 life, and he can block. Looks like he's telegraphing that Deathrite Shaman fairly, making that obvious. I want to make sure I use it. Yeah, I think he forgot to use it at the end of his opponent's turn. So, what are we going to do here? We have a Gavany Township, so maybe he just wants to attack with everything here.
Looks like 9 mana.
Yeah, he has a Gavany Township, so he can attack with everything, activate Gavany Township.
Here comes the team.
So he just attacks with those guys. 5, 8, 6, 10. 10 damage, potentially in the air if he chooses to activate that Gavany Township. So yeah, if he activated Deathright Gem at the end of Derrick's turn, he would have been able to win this turn, short of a flyer. He could have won no matter what, even with the Obsidian without the Gavin Township, but still in pretty good shape for Phillip. Let's see if Derrick has some sort of removal spell. I don't think there's any instant speed removal that he has that can deal with this. He has 2 Abrupt Decays in his sideboard, but unlikely he boarded them in. And here is the Restoration Angel. That is one of the cards that we thought could buy him a turn. Gains 5 life, goes up to 18, and now he gets another Beast token and a Restoration Angel that can block another Restoration Angel with.
I mean, he might be actually thinking about trying to attack for the win here. He can swing in for 11, and there's only a single Deathrite Shaman back as a defender.
He drops, so 11. He would drop to 4 though. That's a risky. It's a risky place to be.
Definitely, but
5 because he only has 11 power on the board. I think you have to block here. You have to block the Primordial.
No, I think he already blocked. I think he blocked Flickered.
Block Flickered. Okay.
Yeah, there's a block, then a flicker. After combat, we see a Sever the Bloodline from Phillip Fortner.
Interesting. So Derrick is going to get another token in play. I'm surprised he didn't just cast Obsidian here and use the Deathrite Shaman ability. Does he have enough mana for both? No. Looks like, oh wow, so just a pass, interesting. So Derrick draws for the turn. Is it a Thragtusk? Thragtusk would be reasonable. Goes up to 15. Probably not going to do it. I think the only card really is Sever the Bloodline. Sever the Bloodline could help him right now, but short of that, I don't see anything.
In with a single beast.
8, 4, yeah, so are we going to get an activation? So Gavin Township makes all the creatures slightly bigger. Now, this turn, I think the attack, even with 2 blockers, is it lethal? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then does he have another land? He has Obsidian in his hand. I don't think it's lethal just yet. I don't think it's enough to activate Township and cast Obsidian. So Derrick might be able to survive this turn. 5 mana with 6 mana in play. He's still 1 mana off from that Angel Serenity in his hand. And Phillip is definitely regretting not activating that Deathrite Shaman several turns ago because he is basically 2 points off from finishing Derrick off.
And he attacks with an Angel and with a Sylvan Primordial. That's the Angel of Serenity coming on in. Currently about 12 million 2. It's a very big monster. Somebody's got to get in the way.
Yeah, Primordial's getting blocked. So we're blocking. Looks like, yeah, he doesn't want to take 6 and possibly just die to getting burned out. So Derrick stays at 10. He's left with just a Beast token in play. What are we going to see? Are we going to see Obsidian come down? Obsidian finally makes an appearance, dropping Derrick to 8 and bringing Phillip up to 14.
That's going to flicker away, and we're going to see, I believe Derrick cast an Angel of Serenity of his own, finally, next turn.
Does he have the land? Does he have a 7th mana? He has 6 mana currently in play. He has the triple white that he needs. We're going to have another Deathrite Shaman. So, wow. So, Phillip blinks out the Obsidian. If he activates Deathrite Shaman at the end of Derrick's turn, he'll drop him to 6. Then on his upkeep, Obsidian will bring Derrick to 4. And he has double Deathrite Shaman that should be able to finish things off. So if Derrick doesn't have the Sever the Bloodline here or the 7th land for his Angel Serenity, it looks like Phillip is going to take game 2. Phillip gave Derrick a lot of opportunities to kind of draw out of this one, but it doesn't look like Derrick has it. Even if he has a 7th land for Angel Serenity, Phillip does have the Sever the Bloodline to sort of regain control, and Obsidian will probably take this game over. So what is Derrick going to do?
Derrick Roper, he's thinking pretty hard, trying to find a path out of the wilderness here.
Yeah, there's just too much power and too many abilities on Phillip's side of the board, and Derrick is at too low life. He does have the 7th land. Angel comes down. Little too late for that, though. He can deal with the Primordial, possibly. He can deal with the Angel, maybe a Deathrite Shaman, but we know the Angel isn't long for this world, thanks to Sever the Bloodline.
I mean, he might have to actually, God, let the Sylvan Primordial live just to survive this turn. Because Obzedat's coming back, and
yeah, you might have to blank Angel, Deathrite.
Yeah. There goes Deathrite.
And is he choosing maybe a Restoration Angel in his hand or a Thragtusk?
Okay, so we.
So Deathrite. Oh, and he does get the Primordial.
Okay, so one of the small Deathrite he takes out.
So the active Deathrite is still in play. It's going to be able to drop Derrick down to 6.
And I believe the cards that he's getting back are Restoration Angel and 2 1-mana creatures.
Yes.
Back comes Obzedat.
Dropping Derrick to 4. Yeah, so Obzedat can swing in here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so this is going to be... can we just get an attack for everything?
He's like, shrug. Do I got it?
I think... Yeah, Restoration Angel has to get blocked.
Boom.
Everything goes in. Yeah. And Phillip just attacks and game over.
That is it. Okay, on to a game 3.
And, I liked... the funny thing is that Phillip had a reasonable start, but Derrick, Derrick's deck almost pulled him out of it. He almost had the 7th mana for the Angel Serenity a little earlier. Phillip had to get a little lucky, but it all came down to Derrick getting 2 mana guys in play, and Phillip was able to actually deal with them early enough before anything mattered. Because thankfully that 5-drop that Derrick cast was a Thragtusk and not an Acidic Slime.
Watching this game play out makes me kind of want to have a Sylvan Primordial in the sideboard of a Junk Reanimator that I would play. It just seemed like it was a very effective card in the fight.
Well, if you think about it, it blocks or kills pretty much every creature in the Reanimator mirror. Deals with it can block and kill a Thragtusk, it can block and kill a Angel Serenity, a Restoration Angel, and so if you can get it into play, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's the Acidic Slime effect is obviously going to be very powerful, but the fact that you can also block flyers and kill them, is pretty huge. It was definitely huge for Phillip there because Derrick could have still been chipping away at his life total with the Restoration Angels.
And the way that it also ramps you, I mean, making yourself be immune to if you happen to get it into play, the Acidic Slime ability of your opponent, that seems really nice too.
Yeah, but again, I think it's definitely a cute card, but it still all comes down to mana denial. Phillip was fortunate enough to be able to unburrow rights the 1 Sylvan Primordial.
Yes,
that he had
the one
in his deck.
huge monster.
But again, if that was an Acidic Slime, it wouldn't have been as good, but it still would have been pretty good.
Yeah.
The main thing is he kept Derrick off the land. Obviously, ramping yourself is pretty good, but the key thing is you want to just keep your opponent off of mana. I think in that particular game, Sylvan Primordial was great. I think having 1 is probably reasonable.
Yeah, that's all I'm thinking about. And I would want it in the sideboard if I were to run it.
Yeah, it might be a reasonable option. I think obviously thinking of it as a 5th Acidic Slime kind of makes a little more sense. But again, I think the consistency of the BBD Van Meter list is really appealing. I like the fact that it doesn't have a lot of those one-ofs. It's more or less just like 4 Acidic Slime, 4 Restoration Angel, just a lot of redundancy in your threats.
I mean, one of the things that Phillip Fortner has chopped out of his list is one of his Angels of Serenity. So, I mean, That's a hard one to have chopped out. And Sylvan Primordial, I guess, is half Acidic Slime, half Angel of Serenity.
Yeah, and the thing is, he also, I don't believe he has Fiend Hunter either.
No Fiend Hunter.
That is huge. That is really huge. I mean, obviously, Lockdown Smiter is reasonable against beatdown decks, but the problem is, Fiend Hunter is really great against beatdown decks, but it's also good in this matchup because you can get their mana guys. Especially if you're on the play and you go turn 1 Pilgrim, they go Pilgrim, and then you follow up your Pilgrim with the Fiend Hunter on theirs.
Yep.
That's the kind of tempo swing that we've been seeing that kind of is the difference between winning and losing.
I mean, it is just so utterly incredible to effectively just not only get that, not exactly 2-for-1, it's just kind of a 2-for-1 on layaway in a certain sense, but the mana swings, that's just so good. Yeah,
the mana swings are huge, and plus late in the game, if they keep hitting their mana and you don't need it anymore, you can Restoration Angel out to deal with one of their bigger threats, like Angel Serenity.
Yep.
Which you're effectively dealing with, but you're not killing, so they can't Unbury Rights it back. So Fiend Hunter is one of those cards where it's great against beatdown. It's also good in the mirror match, which is why I like it so much. So it looks like Phillip is mulliganing, taking a mulligan down to 6. So not only will he be on the draw this game, but he's going to be facing Derrick, who's going to have a full grip of 7, whereas Phillip is only going to have 6 cards. So back against the wall a little bit, but like we saw in this matchup, it really all depends on. It can be somewhat draw dependent because we saw Derrick get the mana guys in play on turn 2, like we saw in game 1, but Phillip was very fortunate and he was able to mill a Sylvan Primordial early on and Embarrow Rights it on turn 4. So, again, somewhat draw dependent. Even though it's consistent, you can kind of get the same kind of draws. It still comes down to, does your opponent get lucky and he's able to reanimate a fatty on turn 4.
And one of the things, too, on Derrick's turn 3, he dropped a Thragtusk into play. If that had been an Acidic Slime instead of a Thragtusk, it would have been a very different game.
Yeah, very different game. Completely would have changed the entire way that game played out. And it just goes to show you how important that mana denial is. And Thragtusk is just basically, Thragtusk didn't do that much in that game.
No, it kept Derrick alive. It gave, Derrick an opportunity if Phillip made some terrible plays that he perhaps could have alpha struck and then come through for the kill, but that wasn't even a reality. He had to come back on the defense.
Yeah.
He had a 5/3 come down, do a little bit of work and save him 1 turn of life.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 turns of life.
Maybe 2 turns. So Phillip debating if he wants to go down to 5 here.
This is a rough deck when it comes to being in a mirror and being down 2 cards.
Yeah, if Mulch, cards like Mulch, Grizzly Savage can kind of maybe get you back into it somewhat, but yeah, if you don't have those mana elves on the draw, and your opponent does,
yeah,
I think that's probably what Phillip might be thinking about. So, yep, I think he mouthed Mull to 5.
Yeah, there are some matchups where a mulligan, mulligans always are bad when you're in a mirror. But there are some matchups where it's even worse, and one of those things is when you're trying to put together combinations of cards. Like if you are playing in the mirror and your opponent has 2 more cards to get to the land Acidic Slime, the Accelerator Acidic Slime, that's rough.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of what Phillip is thinking about. He's like, can this hand beat that draw? If not, then I might as well just go for 1 less card because I can't expect to be on 4 or 5 mana on my turn of 4 or 5. Not with the way these matchups usually play out. He's playing against a deck that likely has 4 Acidic Slimes along with 4 Grizzly Savage to dig for them.
Now, if you are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here with Osip Lebedovich, and you should also be following at SCG Live on Twitter and joining in on the conversation at #SCGNASH. If you were following in on that conversation on SCGNASH hashtag, you would see the link by Evan Irwin to his Bant tokens list.
Oh, great.
Here we go, Phillip Fortner. Turn 1 Arbor Elf.
Turn 1 Isolated Chapel.
Ouch.
So Derrick, as his deck has been pretty consistent in this match. Turn 1 Mana Accelerant all the games. Looks like he might have another Mana Accelerant as well.
Cavern of Souls, naming anything that he needs.
Angel perhaps?
Mulch.
Good old Mulch.
Wow. Land.
So yes, Cavernous Soul did name Angel.
Trips land.
So he gets 3 lands here. Has to mill one of his Deathrite Shamans, unfortunately. Gets 3 lands. Smooth his mana over. It looks like he does have an Burial Rites. Does he?
Oh, wow.
And a Pilgrim. So let's see if he can get that turn 3 Acidic Slime. And here's a Deathrite Shaman.
Oh,
and
pass.
Off at Isolated Chapels.
None.
How devastating will this turn be? Is it going to be Acidic Slime for the win, or perhaps simply Thragtusk for the delayed win?
I mean, there are times when you don't want a Thragtusk as much as you want, let's say, an Acidic Slime, let's say a Wolfer Silverheart, let's say a Thundermaw Hellkite, but right now, only a Thragtusk.
All right, so Phillip maybe breathes a slight sigh of relief. Not a huge sigh, but a slight sigh.
Is there no land to be found?
There's a Temple Garden. So looks like we're going to have Temple Garden Mulch, perhaps. If we can get that going, that's something. Temple Garden and Mulch. And again, thankfully, it wasn't an Acidic Slime.
Mulch.
And
One.
There's 1. 2 lands.
Woo!
All right.
Inspiration.
Suddenly, Phillip is feeling lucky. So he gets 2 lands off the Mulch. Does he have to discard? 1, 2. No, looks like he might have a grip of 7. So
I mean, he mulliganed to 1, so he...
that's right. He did mulligan this game. Looks like he has an Acidic Slime of his own in a Grizzly Savage. So hopefully, if Derrick maybe can, if Derrick can't put any pressure on Phillip's mana here, Grizzly Savage could technically act as an accelerant because of the Deathrite Shaman in play. So maybe he can get that Acidic Slime into play in the next few turns.
13 for Phillip Fortner. Takes 5 from the Thragtusk.
So is Derrick going to be able to capitalize on this mana advantage that he has?
He's got access to 6 mana now.
6 mana. What do you cast with 6 mana in a Reanimator deck?
Fiend Hunter and Sin Collector?
Fiend Hunter, Sin Collector. I don't know. Maybe
another Thragtusk and another 1-drop?
Acidic Slime Deathrite Shaman?
No,
just a
pass.
Interesting. So maybe
Grizzly Savage and
Restoration
Resto.
Angel. Yeah. So, although, why wouldn't you Grizzly Savage main phase to kind of, maybe if you hit a Umbral Rights Acidic Slime, you know? Surprised he wouldn't just cast a main phase, but...
Phillip Fortner lays a Forest, passes.
And, wow, so maybe trying to bluff a spell there? Not quite sure.
No play from Derrick Roper.
So just plays Overgrown to untap. Maybe he feels like I want to try to trick Phillip into thinking I have something. Not sure. Don't see a reason to cast Umbral Rights unless you want to just chump block with your Deathrite Shaman, which I can't imagine you'd want to do just yet.
Land, Garrick, Slime, land.
So interesting. Cast Grizzly Savage mid-combat. Does he want to just chump block here? Chump block and then activate my Deathrite Shaman to gain 2 life? I'm not sure why he would mid-combat Grizzly Savage, but he has an option. Does he want to get the? Does he want to get an Acidic Slime? Does he want to just get another mana? Not sure if he needs another land just yet. Looks like he has at least 2 left in his hand. Does have an Angel Serenity in his hand, but we're a little far away from casting that just yet. He could choose to just get... Maybe he wants to just get a Forest. Yeah, he has 1 copy of Acidic Slime in his hand. I think I like taking the Acidic Slime here, but... Especially if you have 1 in your hand. If you can start streaming them out and blocking that Thragtusk and then using the other one to kill the token. Let's see what Phillip decides to do here. It looks like he's taking a land, so he takes a Godless Shrine there. Which again, I think is fine. But is he going to chump block with a Deathrite Shaman? No, he just takes it. So drops to 8. He can gain 2 life, go up to 10 by removing Derrick's Deathrite Shaman if he chooses.
Derrick shuffling his cards. He didn't do anything with his mana over that whole last sequence of turns.
He is potentially going to be at 7 mana this turn if he has another land, so Obviously, a number of threatening spells. You can cast Angel Serenity right here. I'm not sure if he has it, but let's see what Derrick does. Does he have any removal for that Deathrite Shaman? No, he doesn't have a Restoration Angel. Or at least, I guess he doesn't have a Restoration Angel.
Lots of thinking.
Yeah, and this is the second game in a row where he had a huge mana advantage over Phillip, but nothing really too impressive to do with it. So he's giving... Oh, there's the Angel Serenity. So are you going to get rid of that Deathrite Shaman?
Targets Shaman and Shaman. And the Shaman eats the dead Shaman before it goes away.
All right, so that was a tough sequence.
Up to 10 for Phillip Fortner.
Yeah, he really needs Sever the Bloodline in order to deal with that Angel. Play Derrick, maybe deal with a Thragtusk, but that's not really ideal.
Yeah, and he takes 10 on the attack from eating the Thragtusk, too. Or no, he takes 9 on the attack. My bad, he'd still be alive.
Let's play Derrick, make a token.
Derrick.
Yep, so looks like Derrick's going to come and play and make a token. Allow him to block the Thragtusk. He'll take 5 in the air unless Derrick chooses to attack with the creatures too.
I mean, it's going to be F6 here for Phillip Fortner. No mana available. Derrick Roper in the driver's seat. Phillip Fortner basically barely alive here.
Can he get Derrick to brick on lands for a couple more turns? It looks like there's another... It looks like he might have drawn another Angel Serenity, which would just end the game right here.
Yep. Done.
And that is what it is. Angel Serenity takes care of that token, and 11 damage is going to swing over for the win.
Phillip Fortner and Derrick Roper, head-to-head Junk Reanimator, the mirror match. Derrick Roper wins. And he started out with a mana advantage, put down a Thragtusk, and then wrapped it up with double Angel of Serenity.
And it was close just because, you know, Derrick had that mana advantage. He wasn't really doing much to press his advantage early on. Unfortunately, Phillip just stalled on mana 2 turns too long, so wasn't able to get to 5 to sort of slow Derrick down and get those acidic slimes into play. So somewhat unfortunate for Phillip. He also had the Garrix too, so he could start dealing with those mana elves, but, you know, just stalled on mana too long.
I mean,
you have a Molt of 5, you're not going to be in the best position no matter what.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, we've certainly seen major mulligans